Alright, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's Chair League match between One Weird Trick to Grow Your MMR, Apply Now, versus the very normally named Miss Lethal. These are both Division 1 teams. I believe they're 0-1, both of them, but hoping to rebound and get Season 2 off to a better start here tonight. But the draft is actually already underway, so we're going to go right to that. Illidan has been banned out by One Weird Trick to Grow Your MMR, Apply Now. Gonna have to come up with a shorter way of representing that. But then a Tracer is banned out by Miss Lethal. So a bit of the old meta, a bit of the new meta. Illidan still being highly prioritized, and Tracer, even though not fully released yet, is rightfully being highly prioritized. Very good character. Someone who I don't think a lot of people are experienced with. I don't even know if people are fully aware of what her kit is and what it entails. But Tracer is definitely very strong. But Lunara is picked up for let's just call him Weird Trick. Or it was MMR Trick, how about that? Or maybe the MMR team. MMR Trick, that sounds good. But they're going to pick up Lunara. Very strong auto attack damage, very strong. She puts out a lot of damage, but it is damage over time, and it does come from auto attacks. But it's a little weird to pick her up this early. She's very good against certain healers, for instance, Uther, but other healers can deal with the damage she puts out very effectively. Someone like Brightwing, for instance, who is actually fairly common on this map. But Thrall and Li Ming are going to be picked up by Miss Lethal, so they're going to grab a solid soul laner in Thrall, someone who can basically just sit maybe in the bottom lane, maybe in the top lane. While they could run a 1-1-1 and have to rotate with Thrall dominated his lane, or they could. It's a little big of a map too, kind of a 4-man death squad, but they will have that Thrall. But Li Ming is picked up as well. So a very solid draft by Miss Lethal so far. They're all definitely very strong. Sundering still very strong. He did get nerfed recently, but it doesn't seem to have impacted him all that much. Still very strong. Sundering still very strong. But it is going to be 2 more picks now for MMR Trick. But it is going to be Greymane. So another auto attack hero. I mean, Greymane, he can turn into a Worgen. A lot of people think he's turned into a werewolf. It's actually a Worgen. But he can turn into a Worgen, do a lot of damage very quickly, in addition to the poking damage that he puts out in his human form. But so far, heavily reliant on auto attacks, which could be problematic. Should they go up against the hero who puts out some blind? But it is going to be Dahaka, the newest officially released hero. It's not Tracer. So Dahaka is a hero with the ability to basically burrow into any bush on the map, so he can very quickly change lanes, which is useful on a large map like this. Basically, just teleport across, which is very useful. But Uther is going to be banned out by Miss Lethal, and Johanna is banned out by MMR Trick. I don't think that's smart. So far, they do have a lot in terms of auto attackers. They have Greymane and Lunara, and Johanna's a hero who can really put out some blinds and really counteract the auto attacks that they have. So I don't think it's smart to ban out Johanna. But ETC and Tassadar are picked up for Miss Lethal. So even though they won't have Uther to give the Divine Mosh, they will still have Tassadar to shield ETC when he goes in for a Mosh. But this is definitely a strong map for ETC. Lots of... Okay, let's try and get this out. Even though it's a large map, there are lots of small choke points that ETC can really land a devastating mosh pit in. So you can really get people all clumped together. Because they're choke points, they don't really have any good way to spread out. So that really sets them up well for a power slide into mosh pit. And when you have Leeming and Thrall on the team, that can, it's really a lot of potential for a good mosh pit to be absolutely devastating. But really going all in on auto attacks. MMR Trick, they're also picking up Raynor, so basically have like 3 auto attack elementals on their team. Is there an auto attack support they could pick up? Tyrande, maybe Lily? I don't know. It's going to be Malfurion. You know, this is a very squishy team that MMR Trick has. Dahaka, not the tankiest of tanks. I mean, he has a lot of health regen from his trait, but his health pool not necessarily very high. Raynor squishy, Greymane squishy, Lunara squishy, and Malfurion. He puts out a lot of healing, but if it takes time for them for the heroes to get the full value out of them. Oh, yeah, so someone drop. We're gonna have to wait for them a little bit. But it takes some time for Malfurion's heals to get their full value. So if you have squishy heroes who die before the heal can go off fully, then you're in some trouble. So Malfurion, you know, as a support player, he's not who I would want on a team of all squishies. He's very good in like a double warrior comp, but this I'm a little concerned with. Okay, so I think we now have everyone. So going to go ahead and try and get things started here. But yeah, the MMR Trick team, their team name is so big that it it's covered up by the little cheerleague scoreboard on my screen here. So it's like I would have to use a smaller font size for this team. But Lily is going to be the support for Miss Lethal, who honestly I think is a great pick. You know, she can really put out the blinds, really completely cancel out the damage that MMR Trick is capable of putting out. We might see her go for the the blinding build. So I think one of the talents is Mass Vortex, which makes blinding winds hit 4 targets, I think, instead of 2. Which I think they can definitely afford to do, given that they have Tassadar on the team. They don't need her to focus on supporting quite as much. But we are going to get right into the game. Both teams are now ready. Not sure my computer's ready. My slow machine. You know, I would have done a reboot before this to, you know, kind of clear things out, but I'm always worried about Windows Update, you know, taking like 4 hours to install the update while whoa, did my heroes just close? Yeah, folks, let me try and figure out what happened here. 1 second. Okay, I think it's still here. For some reason, it's freezing on me, and the let's see here, and it disappeared from the taskbar. But okay, there we go. I think it's finally up. Yeah. Sometimes I think I need to build a new computer. I don't know. I think I've had this one for 2-3 years, but I don't know. Seems like maybe it's time. Maybe Heroes just takes up way too much memory. Who knows? But it is going to be the Captain Smurfurer on Malfurion, UX Know It on Lunara, Skill Command on Raynor, Kyle on Dahaka, and Snorgama. Snorgama? Let's go with that. On Greymane. And it is going to be Swag X Lithium. You know, all these X's in the names. I don't know if the X is just supposed to be skipped over, so it's just Swag Lithium. I don't know. On Li Ming, Sessiport on ETC, Soylad on Tassadar, Galor 98 on Lili, and Galad 77 on Thrall. So I think we're all good.
Prepare yourself for battle, heroes.
The instruction to get seeds being given out. Not sure they know which map they're playing on. No, I'm sure. So let's take a look at the talent here real quick. So it looks like Lili's going for maybe a Serpent build instead of a Blinding build. That's interesting. But both teams having some fun at the beginning of the match. But MMR Trig being very careful to not engage too hard, especially in the middle lane. Just sending Dahaka out in the middle. So we are going to see Thrall against Lunara and Malfurion in the bottom lane. And then the top lane, Tassadar up against Raynor and Greymane. I think Tassadar could probably hold that just fine. He has his Dimensional Warp to get away from any trouble. Of course, it's been used, so... But he can also shield himself and put out that W, what is that, Psionic Storm to throw out the minion waves. But he has all kinds of escape options, all sorts of defensive options, all sorts of wave clear options, so... Tassadar is a very solid soul laner. But meanwhile, poor Dahaka being ganged up on here in the middle. This is a 3-on-1. Not sure Dahaka has the greatest wave clear in the world, but it's pretty good. Yeah, we did see these towers take a little bit of damage, deplete an awful lot of their ammo, but in a 3-on-1 situation, not too uncommon. But Malfurion going to come up and help out, and leave Lunara in the bottom lane to deal with Thrall, which she certainly can. So not too much going on right now. Looks like EZT did come up to help Tassadar out. Don't think he needed that help too much, but yeah, why not? Gonna rotate down to the middle, maybe try and sneak up on Kyle there on Dahaka, but decided against it as Li Ming is going to rotate to the bottom. Might be thinking about oh, I see. So at the 2-minute mark, this is pretty smart by the red team. So they went to go pick up their siege giants. They stuck one on each lane to soak the experience, and then the other two went to go grab the siege giants. And if they're really lucky, if they've given their offering to Orange Jesus, the tribute will spawn on the top lane. So everyone will be forced to rotate to the top to try and claim the tribute. Meanwhile, these giants will push out the bottom lane. But unfortunately, they did not pray to Orange Jesus, and these giants will be blown up before much value can be gotten out of them. Well, it's looking like it's going to be fairly even here in the beginning. There are two more on the blue team. Not ooh. Unfortunately, Dahaka not quite getting there in time, and the first tribute of the game will be going over to Mist Lethal. So even though they kind of they didn't luck out with the giants and where the tributes spawn, they did look out that Dahaka did not quite get to them in time. But we saw Dahaka try to drag Lili into the towers, but thanks to Lili being so squirrely and Tassadar also being there, got not too much value out of that. But Dahaka going to have to Hearth, but it's not really such a big deal, thanks to his, I believe, Shadow Brush Stalker, something like that. But basically his global movement ability, so he'll be able to hop into any of these bushes, and it looks like he went up there. And he's arriving at the fight, full health, full mana. Drag goes down on ETC, but not going to get too much out of that. But everyone is here on both teams. Tassadar just soaking a little bit in the top lane. Can rotate down if needed, but fortunately for them, the next tribute goes over to MMR Trick. So we see both teams going back to soaking. I would say that MMR Trick has a slight lead. It's even on tributes, but they do have the slight XP lead. And they also have the ability to go and grab their Siege Giants, which they're doing right now. Now, if they're really lucky, the next tribute will be in the bottom lane. So we saw one spawn here, we saw one spawn on the top, so the next tribute could be either in the top or bottom. Or a betting man, I would say it's going to spawn there. There's a nice chart somewhere. Let's see, am I right? Oh, I'm wrong. Oh well. It's right there, but it is in the bottom lane, so it's going to look out. So that's going to look out for MMR Trick, because Miss Lethal, they have to either be late to the tribute or they just have to let the Giants go, and it looks like they're going to be a little bit late. Testar is going to be slightly late, and then Li Ming is going to be even later. But luckily for Miss Lethal, they all managed to get there in time. But ETC is awfully low, but a great shield goes down by Tassadar. But the poison from Lunara is just too much. Lily, unfortunately, was separated and unable to get the heal off. But everyone at MMR Trick awfully low, but they're going to just barely come away with that tribute. But Swag Lithium in some trouble on Li Ming, and the penetrating round from Raynor finishes her off. So not only does MMR Trick win the tribute, but they get a couple kills, and they're going to hit level 10. And I'm not sure Miss Lethal is going to reach 10 in time for the next tribute. But we see Miss Lethal, they're getting back to laning. Meanwhile, the Bruiser camp is picked up for MMR Trick. So they may have those Bruisers pushing as the next tribute comes up, but the next tribute is probably going to be fought over by Miss Lethal because they have hit level 10 as well. So you know what? I think this is Water Dragon for Lily. Let's take a look at this while we have a second. Yeah, it is Water Dragon. So very interesting. It looks like it was actually used recently. Must have missed that. But big bush party going on by MMR Trick. But a giant mosh pit goes down. Well, I think Drag may have interrupted that from Dahaka, but the Sundering goes down into the disintegration, and Thrall is going to fall. Tassadar going to get out of there with his dimensional, but I don't think Lily is going to get away. She has Banshees on her, and poison from Lunara, but I think she's going to escape. She's going to run away and give herself healing. But this is going to be a curse for MMR Trick. Well, everyone back up on the side of Miss Lethal, and it looks like I would imagine that the bottom lane is going to be pushed out by MMR Trick. So a mosh pit's certainly not up. So that aggressive power slide is going to be punished very heavily by MMR Trick. And ETC is going to fall, but a flank comes in by Li Ming. ETC declaring oops, which I would agree with that. Was a definite oops moment. But Swag Lithium in some trouble too. Another oops by Li Ming, and she falls as well. So this bottom fort is going to fall. We saw a big minion wave piling up in the top lane, but the combination of Tassadar and Lili going to save the top fort. Don't think this gate is not down yet in the middle lane, so don't think that's going to fall. But we see it being pushed out now. Only a couple seconds left on the curse, so I think this fort might survive. No, it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down hard. Yeah, the combination of the Banshees attacking the fort and Lunara's poison took that middle fort and wall down very quickly, and the minion wave that was pushed in. So I would say it's a very successful curse for MMR trick. You generally want to try and get at least a couple forts in the first curse, but the combination of the water dragon and power slide going down on poor Dahaka, but he is going to survive thanks to the tranquility from Smurf. That's quite a great name, by the way, Smurf. But I think it's something like 2.5 minutes between the end of a curse and the next tribute, so there's some time. We do see MMR Trick pulling back to come grab their Siege Giants. Might see a play on a boss here. Although no one really in position to get it. But an aggressive flank coming up here from MMR Trick. Lili going to get away because Lili is fairly immortal. But meanwhile, I believe Mosh Pit is up, and we saw Sassy Port positioning like he may have wanted to flank and do a Mosh Pit, but I think Lili was low, and Li Ming probably not going to be able to burst someone down all on her own. So probably would not have gotten a lot of value out of that Mosh Pit. But the top fort is going to go down with the help of these Siege Giants. And meanwhile, Tassadar in some trouble. He is he's discovered by all 5 members of MMR Trick, and a great go for the throat by Snorgama is going to finish off Tassadar. The combination of the prescience at level 13 and the just regular ability, unable to save Tassadar. But Li Ming is going to fall as well. So far, 2 are taken, and the boss is called for by the shot caller on MMR Trick. This boss is almost certainly going to be taken out. Look at how fast this is going down, thanks to Lunara. You know, I'm curious to see if she took, let's see here, what is it, Nature's, what's the name of it? Yeah, Nature's Calling. That increases the toxin damage by 200% to non-heroes. So basically, Lunara is playing the role of the specialist on the team of MMR Trick. She can very quickly take down structures, bosses, minions, very quickly. But we saw Kyle go down to deal with the pushing thrall, and meanwhile Lili ends up falling in the top lane. Maybe got rooted by the boss. Who knows? But meanwhile, the next tribute is spawning in the bottom lane, but not before Li Ming goes down to another big go for the throat by Snorgama. So far 2 have fallen in this defense of the pushing boss in the top lane. And meanwhile, Dahaka and I think yeah, this tribute went over in favor of MMR Trick with Kyle on Dahaka picking it up. It's kind of weird to see Thrall down there with like full health, but the tribute, I don't know. Not sure how that tribute went in favor of Dahaka. Would have thought it would have been contested a little more, but. So I mean, 2 heroes, you know, kind of fighting down here that really have some ability to self-sustain. Thrall has his trait, which will heal him for, I think, every 5th attack. Every fifth bit of damage done from his abilities. And then Dahaka, when he kills the minions, he collects essence, and he can use that to regenerate, so... Definitely two heroes who can just kind of survive in a poke battle against each other and not really die. But the next tribute is coming over in the bottom lane. And even though MMR Trick, they just had a curse go over in their favor, they're only one tribute away from having another curse. They very quickly picked up 2 additional curses. Dahaka being focused on, but he's going to burrow. Probably activate his trait. But Tranquility is coming down by Smurf Fuhrer. Not sure it's going to be enough. Sundering goes down. Raider falls. Dahaka falls. And Malfurion falls. This is trouble. This is big trouble. Snorgama on Greymane going to fall as well. So far that is a 4-for-0 wipe. Big momentum swing for Miss Lethal. So not only are they 1 tribute away, but they're going to pick up this boss, and they've tied it up in terms of XP. And if they push with this boss, they might be able to get a keep. Now, we saw Tassadar back, but I guess he's just going back to deal with the pressure on the core. Not sure there's too much to worry about. I mean, the minion waves will come out and deal with the siege giants eventually, but may have been worried that the shield would go down. The core would start taking some damage. But this middle lane is going to be pushing a little bit, probably just going to see the wall go down and not too much else. Yeah, I mean, just look at the amount of damage Lunar is putting out on that push. She fell to something. I'm not sure what she fell to. Huh. But this is very bad for MMR Trick. The next tribute is coming up here in this top lane, and they're going to be shorthanded. Miss Lethal, they have a stat advantage. They're up a level, and they have the numbers advantage, the almighty numbers advantage, and the curse will go down in their favor. And they're choosing to go after this top 4 here, which I mean, it's probably. It would have been great to grab that keep, but considering it was on the bottom part of the map and the tribute came out on the top part of the map, probably would have wasted a lot of time rotating down to take care of that. So they choose to rotate up and grab the top fort. And then may want to think about the top keep. And MMR Trick is nowhere near any kind of position where they can defend against this. So I think this top keep is going down. Very strange to see almost no defense. Okay, so MMR Trick, they decided to hearth back. I don't have the hearthing icons on. I guess if you're an observer, you don't see that. But they all hearth back. But maybe a bit of an overextension. Now Mosh Pit goes down by ETC, but fortunately he is going to get blown up. So he has fallen. Lily has fallen. So far maybe a bit of an overextension, but they did get the keep. But Thrall going to bolt out of there. But he does have the Banshees chasing him, so he's not going to be able to mount. Which is terrifying if Lunara is chasing you. But it's looking like they're going to get out of there. The Force Wall by Soy Lad going to prevent any kind of further chase by MMR Trick going on. But meanwhile, two are down on Miss Lethal and MMR Trick. Meanwhile, over here, they're deciding to pick up the boss. And again, look how fast this boss is going down, thanks to Lunara. I mean, she just puts out a crazy amount of damage on anything that isn't a hero. But meanwhile, Thrall is going to fall. No trade. No trade is going to heal through that. But this is bad because there is no keep up in this top lane. And this boss is going to push right on the core. And Thrall's going to be enough for another 45 seconds. But someone drops... Okay, so they're still here. Uh, I hate to think lag might have been part of that death on Li Ming, but who knows? Who knows? But the fact that Li Ming has fallen, Thrall is down, I think this is going to be game. The Tranquility goes out by Smurfear, going to heal up through the damage being put down by the core. But that is going to be game. MMR Trick going to walk away with that.
Blue team is victorious.
You know, I really think Lunara, I mean, she really pumped out a ton of damage. I'm really curious to see what her siege damage is going to be. Let's take a look at this once the screen comes up. But I mean, she was just putting out a ridiculous amount of damage on bosses, and okay, so only like 65k. Actually, Greymane did a little bit more. But you know, a lot of damage could have been going down on bosses that are I guess bosses that aren't picked up. So you know that doesn't count in the stats, but really, I mean, it just seemed like she was putting out so much damage. I guess Rayman was doing that as well, as was Raynor. I mean, both of them putting out a lot of hero damage. But yeah, I mean, really, here let's swap back to this. You know, let's adjust my microphone and everything. But yeah, you know, quickly, I mean, let me take a look at Lili's talents here. Okay, she did take Mass Vortex at level 4, so she did increase the Blinding Wind targets, but it seems like she didn't fully commit to the Blinding build. She kind of went, she kind of went with like a half Wind build, like half Blinding build, and then half Serpent build. So, I don't know, I would have liked to seen her commit maybe a little more heavily to Blinds. They already had Tassadar as a support, so didn't really need to worry about healing as much, and didn't need to worry about damage as much. Didn't really need to worry about you know, using serpents to deal out damage. But interesting. But hey, the all auto attack and weak tanking build ended up working out for MMR Trick. So congratulations to them. They will believe they're getting back to 500 on the season. So I think they're 1-1 now. So congratulations to them. Anyway, we are going to have another match here coming up in about 20 minutes or so. Hope to see you guys for that. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. We'll be back here shortly. Thanks.